Am I the a-hole for not telling my family that I'm going to die? I, 23 female, found out that I'm terminally ill and likely only have a year left, even with treatment. I recently just finished my internship and was offered a job, which I quit only being at it for 3 months after finding out and moved back in with my parents. My parents don't understand why and have questioned me quite a bit about it, and my responses have been, I don't really feel like talking about it, and they have respected that. I have been moved in with my parents for about 2 weeks and had gotten a phone call from my doctor, which my younger teenager, 17, sister, has overheard because I didn't know she was home and had the phone on speaker. She started aggressively questioning me about it and accused me of being selfish for not saying anything and asked me what I expected to happen when I started showing obvious signs and got to the point where I couldn't care for myself. She demanded that I told my parents as soon as they got home, as well as my other sibling, grandparents, and even friends. I begged her not to say anything, and she agreed not to, but expressed how she doesn't think it's the right thing to do though. Now I feel really bad because I really don't want to tell anyone. I just want my last moments to be filled with happiness, and I feel like once everyone finds they're gonna be sad and I'll have to cheer everyone up while coping with my illness, as everyone always goes to me when they're experiencing hardship, even my parents. Top comments. Honey, I don't want to call you the a-hole here, but the honest truth is that you now live with your family. That means when things get worse, they're going to be the ones there to take care of you, and they really should be aware and able to prepare for that. I understand that you don't want to hurt them, and you don't want to have to console them when you're going through it, but I do feel like it's important to sit them down and have a conversation about it. Jumping on top comment to say very gentle, you're the a-hole. From reading your comments, you at least thought a great deal about what the last months/weeks of your life will look like, and I respect that immensely. It takes great strength to do that. Where you stray very slightly into a-hole territory is your decision is going to have a direct impact on your parents/siblings' grief in the aftermath. There's absolutely nothing wrong with what your desires are in this. It's an issue in that once you are gone, your parents are quite literally going to tear themselves apart with blame as to why you felt they couldn't trust them with the knowledge. In addition to that, the sheer furious resentment they'd unload, willingly or not, on your sister for knowing and not telling them will quite likely destroy that relationship too. And yes, you're likely quite right. If you do tell them, it will crush them, and time that could be spent creating memories together will be twisted slightly with the grief everyone will feel. That doesn't need to mean those memories are a bad thing. Too many people focus on the former part of bittersweet, and as awful as it will be for your parents, ultimately, in the years to come, they'll be incredibly grateful that they got the chance to share in them and appreciate them for what they are. I don't know if a-hole's exactly right. OP's very young, was at the start of their career taking off, and found out they have less than a year to live. Shock and denial are likely huge factors at play here, and honestly could continue to be so for the rest of their life. And having that conversation with family may seem overwhelming and daunting, having to deal with their family's emotions, when they've not really grappled with these themselves. But it's a bad situation, on a timer that's not going away. They should likely have this conversation with their family because end-of-life decisions are going to come sooner rather than later, and they need to be as ready as they can be. Plus, having a little knowledge may allow them to make memories and get a semblance of closure. I'd suggest maybe bringing the family to a doctor's appointment or to a therapist or religious figure if they have one, or something to tell them in a setting where OP doesn't have to do all the emotional legwork. OP's not an a-hole. I feel that they're probably just overwhelmed and confused by the bad news. To OP, I would suggest letting their family know what's going on so they can be supportive, but this is a difficult situation for everyone. Am I the a-hole for telling my family the reason why I'm leaving so soon? Throwaway account, because I'm pretty sure my family uses Reddit. I'm on mobile. Please don't kill me. A little backstory. My brother is a freaking a-hole. He's inconsiderate, obnoxious, toxic, and is a pain in the butt to be around. He smells because he doesn't shower often, and he refuses to pull himself out of a dead-end job. He'll play video games at 2 to 3 in the morning, which I'm sure we've all done, except he is loud, obnoxiously loud. He plays with his friends for hours, screaming at his games, yelling at his friends, talking loudly and stuff. Genuinely just being a jerk. He tried to charge me for a Red Bull I tried, and hated that I didn't know was his. I refused, as he had drank and eaten stuff I had bought before, and I never tried to get him to pay me back. This is another thing. He eats other people's food without asking. It's a bunch of small stuff that he does that pisses me off. I have tried to get my parents involved because if I tried talking with him, it would just be a screaming match between us. And to their credit, they have tried but failed. He'll say, okay, the entire time, until they leave, then continue to be a jerk. Things only got worse when we moved to a new state, where I don't feel like I belong. I hate it here. Many months back, I started my enlistment process for the military, and just a few months ago, I continued it, and I'm currently waiting on ship out. There is a problem though. My ship out date is right before Thanksgiving. My family is torn. They asked me why it's so close, so I decided to tell them. For those who don't know, the military will ask you, how soon can you go to basic? And if you put ASAP, they'll try to get you into basic ASAP. So I told them I put ASAP, and I guess they put me in ASAP. My mom asked why, and I told her. I told her in the kindest way possible that I wanted to leave as soon as possible. I'm tired of constantly fighting my brother. I'm tired of waking up at 3 a.m. to him screaming at his freaking game, and I'm tired of them not enforcing rules on him. I don't like this state. I want to leave this house as soon as possible. My mom didn't answer and just went to her room. I feel terrible, but I frankly feel like it needed to be said. So Reddit, am I the a-hole for saying why I'm leaving so soon? Edit. Thank you all for your very kind words. I tried to upvote and reply to most of you, but there are so many. And r/, if you're reading this, hi. Update. I tried talking with my mom again, and it didn't go well. She tried to shift blame off of her and said that I was too loud at night, and to her credit, I sometimes will cook dinner at around 10:30 to midnight if I haven't eaten yet. I understand that, however, she kept bringing it up like it was a major point to be made, despite all the other stuff my brother does. She also got into me for not having a job, despite the fact that I have enough money saved to sustain myself for well over the 3 months until I go to basic. I used to have a job, however, I lost it when she made us move to a new state. And due to me leaving so soon, I just don't feel the need to get a job, but I'll be fine for the next 3 months. The only person who has supported me is my father, who has been helping me throughout my enlistment process. After this conversation with my mother, I still feel terrible for making her upset, but I know when I made the right call putting ASAP on my survey, or whatever it was. Thanks for all your kind comments. Top comments. Not the a-hole. By enabling your brother, she created this situation. There are 2 parents here. Not always. Could be that my situation's a stepbrother, but my mother never enabled him. But my stepdad and his ex did, and the ex made sure to undermine my mother and convince her kids that she didn't have any authority over them. But my stepbrother is just like OP's, and literally the only person who likes him is my stepfather. Right. They needed to hear it. Don't feel bad, OP. Her reaction means she heard you, not the a-hole. OP is not the a-hole. I think OP should get the chance to truly express how they've been made to feel and how their brother's behavior has impacted them. OP's mother is definitely in the wrong for guilting OP into feeling like it was wrong for them to express their feelings and opinions. Hopefully, the fact that OP is leaving will give OP a much-needed break from their family. Am I the a-hole for telling my parents and my extended family that my sister is none of their concern anymore? My sister recently turned 18 and moved in with me, 20 female. To provide some context, I need to go into our childhood. My parents named me Serafina, and apparently it was my mom's favorite name ever, and once they had me, they were happy. When my sister was born, they picked the top name of that year, which was Emily. Not as much thought went into it really, but they figured safe was better than nothing. Extended family loved my name and showered a ton of praise on it my whole childhood, and would often make snide comments about Emily's name and how it was a shame her name was nothing compared to mine. Some would even ask our parents how come they ran out of really beautiful names after just me, and Mom and Dad would sit and laugh it off. All of this was happening when Emily could hear. Often praise around my name came with praise for how pretty I was and how my name suited me that way. She never got that kind of praise or positive attention at all. A beautiful name for a beautiful girl and all of that. I'll tell them to stop bringing it up around Emily, and was ignored. I'd tell her that her name was pretty too and that she shouldn't listen to our family. It chipped away at her confidence, at her self-esteem. When I turned 18 and moved out, I made sure Em had a safe space with me. It helped, but she still felt unsupported and like the family didn't like her very much. When she turned 18 a couple months ago, she moved in with me and cut ties with our family. I have helped her to find a therapist, and have reminded her every day that she is important and loved, and that our family were jerks for always overlooking her and tearing her down to lift me up in her presence. It was only a week ago our extended family invited us to a family wedding. Em didn't want to go, and neither did I, so I RSVP'd no. This led to contact from a few of them saying Em is always at these things and I should stop hiding her from them. I told them Em is none of their concern anymore, to leave us alone. They told me Em is their daughter/granddaughter/niece, that I have no right to say she's none of their concern. She will always be their concern. I told them they had 18 years to value her, and they tore her down and ignored me when I said they were saying and allowing others to say was mean. They accused me of causing trouble because of what I said. Am I the a-hole? Top comments. Not the a-hole. Big sister's gotta protect. You sound like my big sister. If they want to be in her life, they'll have to earn their place. It's your sister's decision how much she wants them in her life. Sometimes the best way to love someone is to cut them out of your life. Forgiveness doesn't equal allowing the hurt to continue. Forgiveness is setting boundaries, communicating them, and defending them. If your family cannot respect these boundaries, they have not earned forgiveness or a place in your sister's life. Not the a-hole. Protect mode was activated on this one. Good job, OP. You're a fantastic sibling. Wish I had a sister like you, lol. Sitting here feeling both intensely happy for OP's little sister and straight up jealousy because of how much I wish I had a sister like that. The OP in this story is definitely not the a-hole. OP is a great older sibling by going out of their way to protect their younger sister. With a family like this, who needs enemies? OP's family knew what they were doing, damaging the younger sister's self-esteem, but passed it off as poking fun or teasing. OP did the right thing by standing by their sister and creating a safe space for her. Am I the a-hole for saying my brother-in-law is not my family? Throw away, cause some fam and friends have read it too. I, male 19, have a sister, female 23, married, and my brother-in-law, male 24. Now I like my brother-in-law. He's a cool guy to hang out with, and I guess he's like a big brother I never had. But one habit I don't like of his is that he tends to muscle his way into family conversations and pass judgments, especially on me. In this instance, I had just come from work and my sis and brother-in-law had come to visit. Understandably, I was tired. It's a manual labor job, and I didn't feel like socializing too much beyond sitting on the couch and watching Netflix. My family have an impression of me being someone antisocial, largely because I struggled to make friends when I was in school. Hated it back then, but I've learned to enjoy and love time alone like many introverts. Anyway, as usual, my family, extended relatives were there too, as sis and brother-in-law rarely get to visit due to his job. Start commenting on how unsocial I'm being, comments I've learned to ignore over the past few years. Brother-in-law begins to jump in and make similar statements, telling I should be more welcoming to them as they are my family. I have to learn to be more social to survive in today's world, and the real stickler for me, I have to learn to go talk to people in order to get a better job than the one I have now, which I happen to love. So I snapped, told him, "Why are you making any comments about me? You don't know me. You're not my family. You're nothing to me." Well, he went nuts, saying how could I say that, and by disowning him, I was also disowning my sister. The whole family went silent, including my sis. After they all left, however, my parents did say that was a bit too far, and my sister said that I had burnt a bridge for no good reason, except my own ego, not being able to handle criticism. I haven't really replied to her message, and I sure as hell don't give a rat's rear end about the messages from extended family members saying I made the night uncomfortable. Anyway, Reddit, am I the a-hole? Top comments. Not the a-hole. Though you were a bit harsh, the little snide comments are toxic. It's horrible having to deal with that over time. Your comment about him being nobody were not okay, but I get you were probably just so sick of the accumulation of insults over the years. Just apologize and explain how you have a super tiring job and don't appreciate snide and passive-aggressive comments when you get home. As someone who has constantly had to deal with that, it took my family a long time to realize those comments are disrespectful and counterproductive. I had to say stuff like, "Do you think that makes me want to see you?" You'll understand that's a comment meant to get under my skin and does not make me feel welcome here in my own home amongst my family. Not the a-hole. But either you feel like he's a big brother you've never had, or not family to you. Your comment was harsh, but honestly he wasn't saying anything nice as well, so he had it coming. I might be in the minority, but someone marrying into family doesn't mean that you actually have to view them as family. Just like how you don't have to view your in-laws as family when you marry yourself. But I guess it's a taboo to say something like that. In my opinion, OP is not the a-hole here. I can imagine that it would feel terrible to have people bad-mouthing your career behind your back, right after you just got home from a long shift at work. The fact that it was OP's family members and brother-in-law make it worse. Oftentimes, toxic family members disguise insults and hurtful words as jokes or criticism. But OP called out their brother-in-law's criticism for what it was, a way for a brother-in-law to lower OP's confidence while boosting their own ego. OP's words may have come in the heat of the moment. However, I don't think OP should have to apologize. If anything, this situation just further exposes the troublesome family dynamic, since everyone seemed to come to the brother-in-law's rescue, instead of realizing how hurtful the comments were to OP. Because that would mean also having to take accountability for their role in the situation as well. Am I the a-hole for refusing to include my family on a trip? When I was 15/16, my sister was invited to a medical study for a disability she has. As a part of this study, her and my parents traveled to DC 3 times over the course of a year. The first time, I couldn't go with because my parents couldn't afford to buy me a ticket, on top of what the study was funding. They found out when they were there that they would have totally funded my ticket. So when the second trip was lining up, the week of my 16th birthday, I was super excited because I thought I could finally see DC. I wasn't able to afford my school's 8th grade trip, so the idea of a Sweet 16 in DC was the best thing in the world to me, especially as a kid who was really interested in politics. My parents didn't allow me to go on this trip because the week we would have been there would have conflicted with my first day of school. I have an early September birthday. I was completely devastated because not only were my DC dreams crushed, but I was also going to be alone for my 16th birthday. My best friend's parents ended up letting me stay with them for the week so that we could do something special for my birthday. I don't even remember why I couldn't go on the third trip. Probably something to do with school as well. They had a lot of time to go sightseeing and have fun, and it was a bummer to miss out on that with my family. I'm now 30, and I'm about to see DC for the first time as I'm interviewing for a job. It's the ideal job because it's half remote and half on-site, and I'd be able to split my time between DC and New York City. My interview is on Tuesday, but I'm flying in tomorrow to have some extra days to really see everything I want to see, and also to just give myself time to relax before a high-stakes interview. I'm funding this extra trip with some inheritance money I received late last year. When my parents found out about this trip, they asked if I could use some of that inheritance to fly them out so we could finally do a family trip together. They said they could show me some of the places they know and what became their favorite parts of DC on their trips. While I do have enough money to cover it, I don't particularly want to. I want this to be my own special trip where I'm doing what I want to do and seeing what I want to see. I also want the time that weekend to relax and not have to go on a tour of all the places my family went without me. I understand it's petty and that it's been a long time since all of that, but it still sort of hurts to think about, even though it's not a huge deal in the grand scheme of things. I told them no, and they're making it out to seem like I'm rejecting them and acting in revenge for the past trips, which is actually not true. It has way more to do with the stress of the interview and wanting to protect my peace than it does for any idea of revenge. I feel fine in my decision, but my family called me a spiteful a-hole, so I'm asking here as a reality check for myself. Top comments. Not the a-hole. It's your money. They're just butthurt to be on the other side of things. They will survive. They've been there 3 times. You've been there none. Enjoy your trip. They'll just have to get over themselves. I think they're projecting how they themselves would act in OP's place. They know they were nasty and unfair when OP was 16, so they expect OP to behave the same. OP, you're not the a-hole. 100%. Go enjoy your trip to DC, and I hope you ace the interview too. Even without the backstory, not the a-hole. Your parents are acting super entitled. You do not have to pay for a vacation for them just because you can afford it. They're being mean and manipulative. Go enjoy your trip and don't give them a second thought. OP is not the a-hole. As an adult, OP is entitled to spend their money any way they see fit. To top it off, OP's parents were not willing to take OP when they had the opportunity to do so. To top it off, OP's parents were not willing to take OP when they had the opportunity to do so, even when the trip would be at no cost to them. I suggest that OP take this time to enjoy the trip that they've always wanted to go on, and do so with a guilt-free conscience. Thanks for watching. Let me know down below if you agree with the verdict. Also, consider checking out my other channel, *_Vingart, where I post my artwork, and my Etsy, StarVingartCompany, where I sell my art prints and stickers. Bye!